Good Monday morning. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. We are taking some time to read the Gospel of Mark. And today, being Monday, we are in chapter 5 of Mark. And this is going out to people both on Facebook and on YouTube. Remember, Facebook, it'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And YouTube will have this reading for Monday, and then we'll have a new reading on Thursday for you. So it's a little bit more broken up for YouTube, but again, you can fill in the gaps during the week in your own devotional time. And we wanted to maintain some live Facebook time with folks because that's different, and that sort of connection is also important. So we're in chapter 5, and chapter 5 is broken into two stories. There's a healing of a demon-possessed man, the Gerasene demoniac, at the beginning of chapter 5, and then two stories of healing in the second half of chapter 5. So I invite you, again, you can pause it now if you want to do it in order, or you can go back after we're done, but I invite you to go back to the beginning of chapter 5 and read that story. Again, if we do this, if you put in some of the time on your own, we'll get you all the way through the Gospel of Mark, and it's a very easy gospel to work your way through. 16 chapters long. Really, you could sit down and read this in about an hour and a half in the evening some night. But this works as well, and strengthens our faith one way or the other. We're going to do that together during this time of pandemic. So I'm going to start with this wonderful healing story that begins at verse 21. And we have Jairus. And you know what? When it comes to saying biblical names, take a guess and go with it. There are sites you can go to get all the pronunciations, but in your own devotional time, God knows who you mean. If you read it out loud, and if you read it quietly, that works too. So I'm going to go with Jairus, and then we also have a woman with a hemorrhage who gets healed as well. So again, chapter 5 of Mark, beginning with the 21st verse. When Jesus went back across to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him on shore. A leader of the local synagogue, whose name was Jairus, came and fell down before him, pleading with him to heal his little daughter. She is about to die, he said in desperation. Please come and place your hands on her. Heal her so she can live. Jesus went with him, and the crowd thronged behind. And there was a woman in the crowd who had a hemorrhage for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal from many doctors through the years and had spent everything she had to pay them. But she had gotten no better. In fact, she had gotten worse. She had heard about Jesus, so she came up behind him through the crowd and touched the fringe of his robe. For she thought to herself, if I can touch his clothing, I will be healed. Immediately the bleeding stopped, and she could feel that she had been healed. Jesus realized at once that healing power had gone out from him. So he turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" The disciples said to him, "All this crowd is pressing around you. How can you ask, 'Who touched me?'" But he kept on looking around to see who had done it. Then the frightened woman, trembling at the realization of what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet and told him what she had done. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. You have been healed." While he was still speaking to her, messengers arrived from Jairus' home with the message, "Your daughter is dead." There's no use troubling the teacher now. But Jesus ignored their comments and said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid, just trust me." Then Jesus stopped the crowd and wouldn't let anyone go with him except Peter and James and John. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw the commotion and the weeping and wailing. He went inside and spoke to the people. "Why all this weeping and commotion?" he asked. "The child isn't dead. She is only asleep." The crowd laughed at him, but he told them all to go outside. Then he took the girl's father and mother and his 3 disciples into the room where the girl was lying. Holding her hand, he said to her, "Get up, little girl." And the girl, who was 12 years old, immediately stood up and walked around. Her parents were absolutely overwhelmed. Jesus commanded them not to tell anyone what had happened, and he told them to give her something to eat. The gospel of our Lord. Have a blessed day. I'll see you tomorrow.